So just to recap, barley from a farm has gone to our malting house. The malting house has kilned the barley to get it to the right style for us. They've sent it to us and we've cracked those grains open in the mill. We've augured them up into our grist case and we've mashed them to get a nice sugary liquid. Now, after the mashing process, the grain is basically spent, so we've extracted all the goodness from that. And what we now want to do is extract the sugary liquid, which we call wort, from that grainy porridge-like mess and get rid of the spent grain. And to do that, we use this vessel, which is called a Lautering. This is probably the most specialized vessel in the brewery because it's got a false bottom in it, which if you want to come down and have a quick look. This false bottom allows us to extract the wort from the grain. And it does that because obviously the liquid can pass through the slats at the bottom here while the grain is retained on the top. It's really, really important during lautering that we try not to pull grainy particles with the wort because that affects the clarity of the final wort, and we want that wort lovely and clear so that at the end you have a lovely clear beer. So as we're continuing through the lautering process, we also begin another step in the whole brewing process called sparging. Sparging is essentially a fancy word for rinsing. And what it does, it rinses the sugars from the grain bed. So all we're doing during the sparging process is adding water into the top of the grain bed in the Lautering. That water trickles through the grain bed and carries those residual sugars with it so that we can pull those sugars off with the wort and that they end up in our fermenter as beer. Different beers require different levels of sparging. So for example, our Basewell IPA and our Bay of Plenty IPA, because they're stronger beers, you typically sparge with lower volume because you want that wort to be more concentrated in the fermenter so that you get a higher alcohol beer. Whereas beers like our 11 Days Pale Ale are sparged with a much higher volume so that the wort that goes into the fermenter is less concentrated and you get that lower alcohol beer. So the volume of water with which you sparge affects your final alcohol outcome.